Hey, welcome back to the Awesome Life podcast. I'm Karen Stelch, your awesomeness host. And this podcast is designed to help inspire and empower women to be their awesome self, to know what they are able to do and really shine with it. It's to be awesome. And my guests are here to share their stories of inspired transformation and how easy or difficult it might have been to create that focus, fun, and financial freedom that is all about having awesome. So today I have an incredible lady, and I only know her as Melissa. So please forgive me if I correct me. Don't forgive me. Correct me if I mispronounce your last name. Is it Dealey?
Yes, it is. You nailed it.
Oh, yay, Melissa Dealey. Awesome. Every now and then I get it all right.
I like to say it's just really with a D.
Well, that's, I thought deal with a L-Y. So
there
that
you
works.
go. You got it.
Dealey. Well, our guests are here to really inspire, as I said, to share with you their information, their stories of transformation and how to be awesome. And part of the awesome acronym is wellness. And so I had to ask Melissa to be one of my guests. This is great. Melissa Dealey, I'll read you a little bio here. Melissa Dealey is an integrative health practitioner and a registered health coach. She is dedicated to helping the clients get to the root cause, which is really what is keeping all of us stuck, right? Get to the root cause of any issue and then truly healing it. That's what it's all about. Melissa's business is 100% virtual, which I love as well. We do not have to have a brick and mortar all the time. And she works in the entire world, any English-speaking person in the entire world. And that's, how easy can that be, really? So she offers a large variety of support to ensure that her clients' success as we navigate through the path of bringing the body back into balance. And we'll be talking a lot about that during our time together. And she helps people create a new lifestyle habits. It's all about the lifestyle and creating new habits that help create an awesome life, right?
Exactly.
So Melissa, I will put a lot of this in the show notes, but she is so well qualified. She is the winner of the 2021 Quality Care Award by Business Forum, The Heart, and has been featured in Pursuit, 365, and Fresh Magazine. She's been featured in the 365 Canadian Women, and the list goes on and on and on. I am so honored to have you join me today and share your wisdom and to help all of us, because especially at this time of year, we need bodies that help us. This is coming out in December of 2021. And the frustration, the down, the traumas that people experience during the holiday season can be quite oppressive, I guess. So having somebody like you to help alleviate that, get to the root cause, clear it, and carry on, create a new lifestyle is what it's all about. But how did you get started in this? I mean, really?
So, well, thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here. And it is really my journey to where I'm at today has been fully guided. I never had health and wellness on my radar. And almost 7 years ago, so March of 2015, I was let go from my 20-year corporate career, which I loved, and it was in tourism. But big fish bought little fish, and I was let go and given an hour to clear out my desk. No word of thanks. And that part hurt the most. And I knew 3 things in that moment. 1, I was never working for someone else again because 24 years of service got me let go. 2, that whatever I did next needed to be more of service to humanity and the planet, because that was like the one piece in tourism. I love that career, but I knew it was missing. And the 3rd thing I knew was I had no idea what I was going to do next. I mean, it had been 24 years with one company, right? Now what? But I was open to being guided. And later that year, I came across a company in Vancouver. I'm in Canada. And this company specialized in brain health supplementation. And that was my first aha, because I use my brain 24/7, and no one's ever told me that I can do more for my brain. And yet I was fully aware of the near epidemic Alzheimer's and dementia that was out there. And I also had a grandmother who at the time was 99 years old, fully cognitively functioning and living at home, caring for herself by herself. And I went, I want to go on her path, not the Alzheimer's dementia path. So maybe I need to do more for my brain, and I should check this out. And so I started investigating the company, checking it out, decided if I want to get involved, and I chose to. And that had me start learning about the brain, but it also had me start thinking about my grandmother's life compared to my life. And she was born in little old Christchurch, New Zealand, in the bottom corner of the earth before all the toxins that we have today, growing all their own food on their property. I was raised in the 1970s in Tokyo, Japan, the height of industry spewing out toxins. And I knew right there and then that I was more toxic than she was. I was behind the 8 ball. And if I wanted to get on her pathway, not only did I need to support my brain, but I needed to lower my toxic load. And so I started learning about toxins and the impact on our body, and just, the 144,000 man-made toxins we have in our world today, and realizing we can't avoid this anymore, unfortunately, but we can make choices to lower our toxic load. So as I started learning about this, I started learning about the brain, supporting the brain. 4 months after that, my oldest daughter got a concussion in her first grade 12 soccer game of the season. And she had just started using this brain nutrition and had commented on the way to the game that it was helping her be more focused in her afternoon classes at high school. So if you haven't had concussion in your house, it's nothing you ever want. The person who's suffering doesn't want it. They want their life back the way it was. And it's difficult to support them because they feel like crap. They have no energy and they can't do the things they want to do, especially when you're in grade 12 and all your friends are going out and having fun and she can't even go to school anymore.
Oh my gosh, that was a serious concussion.
It was a serious concussion, and she couldn't go to appointments with practitioners to help her healing journey and then come home and tell me what they'd said so I could help her do that. So I started going with her. And that was, continuing my learning and my interest, right? Well, 2 months after that, I'm driving to Vancouver to meet with the CEO of this company in Vancouver. And I get a phone call from the high school. And they're calling to let me know that I need to pick up my youngest daughter because she has a suspected concussion from gym class.
Oh my gosh.
In that moment, I literally looked out my windshield, I looked up at the heavens, and I said, are you kidding me? This is how you show me my path? Stop taking out my children. I didn't have any more children, but now I had 2 very different concussions in my house and was going to both sets of appointments, learning all about the brain and supporting them. And that's when I had my second aha. What do other people do that don't conveniently have a mom who is out of work right now when they're trying to heal from something?
Yeah.
Because when you're the one in the mess, it's hard. It's stressful. You don't know if you're actually, seeing the right practitioners, getting the right information. It's never a magic pill, so you don't have immediate results. So, you've got your brain telling you don't even know if this is working, right? It's very hard.
And it's also difficult because you're listening to the doctors who are following their licensure of what to do, that everybody in the world, and your kids may need something a little different.
Well, exactly. I wasn't actually even taking them to doctors. I was taking them to physiotherapists because the 4 months that I was working with this company before my daughter even had her concussion, and I was learning about the brain, I started working with the physios and craniosacral practitioners and others, and realized that that's where the knowledge was around concussion and healing the brain. And the doctors didn't really know. They were behind. They were still telling people to go lie in a dark room for 2 weeks. And so I didn't ever take them to a doctor until I had to take them to a doctor because the school needed a doctor's note for my older daughter who couldn't write her final grade 12 exam. So to get the exemption, we had to get the note from the doctor. They wouldn't accept it from the physio, but it was the physio that was actually more knowledgeable in doing all of the work. And this is just how it works in our world with insurance companies and all of these things today, right? Is navigating that path is hard. So again, how do you do it when you're in the mess of it? So I was really grateful to be able to guide my daughter's journeys. And I live in a small town and people knew our story. So I had other people reaching out and saying, my husband got a concussion. What do I do? My son has a concussion. I have an employee with a concussion. How do I bring them back to work? And then I was invited to work at a holistic clinic and help other people recover from concussions. And that felt a little bit like imposter syndrome. What do I know? But I spoke to the physios who I'd learned so much from and done all of my own research and study to help my own children. And they said, no, we need more support in this area. And you're the one bringing nutritional piece to it. You're the one bringing the support, the hand holding to it. People need that. You should do this. And so I went to do it, except I couldn't get insurance because I didn't have any qualifications. So then I thought, okay, I need to get a qualification. Maybe I should become a life coach. And that had been in the back of my head ever since being let go, but it had never landed. But I called a friend now who was a life coach and said, you're a life coach. You're a great life coach. I know your reputation. Where did you do your course? I know you did it online, but which one? Because I'm going to do that. And then he said, no. You don't need to be a life coach. You need to be a health coach. And I went, what? What's that? And I had no idea. I've never even heard of that before. But it immediately landed, the goosebumps, like, oh my goodness, this is what I'm doing. And I literally researched some courses, found one that absolutely aligned, jumped right in, and I started in within 10 days, like their next cohort group was starting. And from that moment, I've never looked back. And in fact, another aha that I had in the first few weeks of that program was I was getting so much information and absorbing it so quickly and loving it and thinking, if the whole world just had to do this course, we wouldn't have the sickness we have on the planet today. Because I was having, constantly, oh, if only I'd known, I would have done that differently. If only I'd known, I'd never been taught this before. And yet it was all so simple. And if somebody had told me, I would have made different choices. And so that's where I decided, well, I need to pay it forward. And because not everybody has time to take a whole year off to do this course. If I take what I've learned and teach it to others, then they can do all of these things, right? And so that's where my podcast came from. The idea wasn't formed way back then, but that's the intent of the podcast today. Don't wait for your wake-up call. There's all of these habits we have in our daily lives, in our stressed out do world, that are negatively impacting our sleep, our stress, therefore our gut, therefore our inflammation levels, so on and so forth, that if we just know this, we can choose to do things differently, and that improves our health outcomes, right? So that's what the podcast is all about. And anyway, so I started my health coaching program, loved it, never looked back. And as I was finishing up my health coaching program, the owners of that program introduced me to my next mentor, Dr. Steven Cabral, who runs the Integrative Health Practitioner program. And when I saw what he was doing, I just knew that's what I needed to do, because he had his own story and cured himself from 3 autoimmune diseases that he was diagnosed with at age 17 and told, you're never going to get better. Here's some pills to help you mask the pain, and this is as good as it gets. And he wouldn't accept the labels. He had a pity party. He admits that. But then he refused to accept those labels and instead chose to find the best form of medicine in the world in order to cure himself. And in that process, he studied to become a naturopathic doctor. He went to India and Sri Lanka to study Ayurvedic medicine. He went to Beijing to study Chinese traditional medicine. He studied orthomolecular medicine, bioregulatory medicine. And at the end of all that, he cured himself. It took 10 years, all of that study, cured himself of 3 autoimmune diseases, and discovered there's no one best form of medicine, but you can take pieces of all of these different medicines or healing modalities to truly help people heal. And he started a practice, and before long, he had a year-long wait list because he was one man that was truly helping people heal.
That is fantastic.
He had a client base of
true, isn't it? You know, there isn't one size fits all, and
no,
that's why you have all of these resources for you.
exactly.
And the same thing for me in my heart energy techniques. It's a multitude. I didn't come up with the one way. It was what all these things all have these amazing abilities. It's just how you put them together and make them work for the individual. Yeah.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so what he realized is I'm not helping people by having them wait a year to see me. I can't clone myself, but what I can do is teach other people to do what I do. And he had a practice at the time that it had already 250,000 patients go through in his clinic. And he set up a program that taught other practitioners how to read the functional medicine labs, how to understand the body's imbalances, et cetera, and then use his protocols that he's used on 250,000 people successfully in order to help the people that have done the labs bring their body back into balance, right? So that's what I did. I jumped in and did his program, and honestly have never looked back, because when we know exactly what's going inside someone's body, and then we can tell them what their body needs, it's truly personalized medicine. Although I'm not going to say the word medicine because I'm not a doctor, but it's personalized healing, right? And we can bring the body back into balance, and then the body heals itself. That's what it's designed to do.
The body is
right?
an amazing subject, but I have heard you talk a lot about the trash can overflowing.
Yes.
What is the trash can overflowing? Or maybe you've already started telling us about that.
Not really. And it's something that I believe needs to be spoken about a lot more. And I'm not talking about the overflowing trash cans out on the street or in the city park. I'm talking about the ones inside your body, your liver and your kidneys. Because we do live in a toxic world. So yes, that goes back to my discussion about my grandmother and my toxic load, right? Today we live in a toxic world. And with 144,000 man-made chemicals since World War II in North America. It's only 8,000 in Europe. Isn't that crazy? Because they're so much stricter, but still we all live in one atmosphere. So these are getting into our body through our food, through our waterways, through our skin, et cetera, et cetera. And our liver and kidneys were never designed to have to deal with that kind of a toxic load. And on top of that, they're undernourished because we have depleted soil systems. And phase 2, so the liver detoxes in 2 phases. And phase 2 requires very specific nutrients, which are no longer in our soil. So we're burdening the liver with too many toxins, and we're not nourishing it enough to complete the detoxifying process. So what that means is the toxins stay inside us. The liver, the body is very smart, right? The liver is like, well, we can't let it get into the bloodstream. So we're just going to store it in our fat tissue, in our adipose tissue, because it can't get it out and it's trying to protect our blood from it. So we become toxic. This causes inflammation. That inflammation causes cells to trigger disease, the genes that we're predisposed to. And that's the science of epigenetics. That is very new science in the last 10 years, that it's not just your genes that dictate your health outcomes, but it's your genes plus the environment you create inside your body, triggered by your lifestyle, that dictate your health outcomes. And the weighting of that environment that you create inside your body is 90 to 95% of the equation. Wow. Which is really empowering because it means you have control 90 to 95% of the time. as opposed to what we used to believe was it was all in your genes, and people would go around and say, I got shitty genes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
All the time. No, it doesn't matter, does it? It
Doesn't matter. You might
can
have
change your
those genes,
DNA.
but you can change it. You just need to know how. And this is what I get frustrated by is we're not taught this through public health or our public education system. So it's what I teach, and what I'm very passionate about teaching is how to create a body that's inhospitable to disease, how to properly help our liver and kidneys detox. And we do that on a regular basis because, as you said at the beginning when you were reading my bio, I'm not about the quick fix and then you're done. I mean, that's not real. There is no magic pill. What I'm about is creating lifestyle habits that are lasting. So whatever learning you do with me today, you have for a lifetime. You can share with your family members. And slowly, little by little, we can get this ripple message out about the benefits of detoxing and how much control we have over our health. And the crazy thing is they still detox in India with Ayurvedic medicine. They still detox in Asia. They still detox in Latin America. It's just in the Western world where we've been taught to believe that if we have a shower and we wash our outer body, that's enough for good hygiene and good health. But it isn't. We've completely forgotten about our inner body, which is absolutely critical to our health for all of these reasons that I've explained. And on top of that, Hippocrates said 2000 plus years ago, all disease starts in the gut. And science is only proving that now. So why aren't we looking after our inner body?
Well, I'm glad you
I got
bringing that up.
There you go. I can hear you now.
I'm glad that you're bringing that up because I have also heard that you talk about, I mean, I've heard of a detox. People are in a detox. They're doing it on their own. But you are talking about a guided detox. And that, I've never heard about a guided detox. Why can't I do it by myself?
You can do it by yourself. However, as humans, our brain can be our best friend and our worst enemy, right? It's our best friend when it stops us walking in front of a bus. It's our worst enemy when it's holding us in our comfort zone and not allowing us the growth we're looking for. It's charged with keeping us safe, so it knows it can keep us safe in our comfort zone because we're here, we're alive. But when we start doing something like a detox, it's different, and the brain recognizes it right away. And particularly, doing a proper functional medicine detox, you're going to be cooking new meals. You're going to be changing the time of, the times between meals. You're going to be intermittent fasting. You're going to be having shakes. You're going to be doing things differently. All your habits are going to change for a short amount of time. And your brain's going to see that and go, what are you doing? I don't know where this is going. I don't know if I can keep you safe over there. This looks harder. It's taking longer to make this meal because you don't know this recipe. You don't even know what you're doing. When we have that happen when we're on our own, we so often give in and we listen to our brain. We give in to ourselves, but we don't let other people down. So when we do a guided program, you're supported. I set you up for success. I explain how the whole program works. I give you recipes so you don't have to just, figure that part out on your own. And I give you, shopping lists and meal templates. And I tell you how much, teach you about hydration and all of the steps to lead to your success. And I teach you about talking back to your brain. Because we need to be in control of our mind and not let our mind be in control of us. And that's what leads to success. And the other thing too is this is a powerful detox. It's not the tea that you buy at the grocery store and you just drink. It's, not even a detox kit you buy at the grocery store. This is a functional medicine detox kit designed by a naturopathic functional medicine doctor, right? It's powerful. Every person comes to it in a different state of health. So every person's response to starting it is different. Some people breeze through. Some people do okay. Some people struggle. But I'm there to support all of them and adapt as needed so that we're not falling off and giving up on day one. And we actually can get through the entire program. And it works because I have 100% success rate guiding my clients through. And I've never once had somebody get to the end and say, gee, I wish I didn't do that.
Wow, 100% success rate. That's amazing. But as we were saying earlier, not everybody responds the same. And when we had spoken together before this podcast, we were talking about how one thing is perfect, like maybe cow's milk is okay for one person, but absolutely a killer for somebody else. Or
Yeah.
or even spinach. Spinach
Yep.
could be horrible for one person
Yep.
and be the lifesaver for some. So how do you know? How can you tell what the right thing is?
So, well, for the detox, we take out all the really, really common triggers. We know what they are. And that allows the stress on the digestive system to be significantly reduced so it can be healing, right? And if we take out 80% of the triggers and one person still has a couple, just reducing the 80% is going to be a noticeable improvement for that individual, right? And then for some people, they do struggle on days 1 and 2. They're not used to fasting. They have different, someone might feel nauseous. Someone else just might be really struggling with various symptoms. And there are very specific nutrients in this program to support that phase 2 of liver detoxification that I mentioned before, right? So it's powerful. For some people, I have to back them off and ease them on more gently because their body just needs a little bit more time getting used to it. But I don't know that till we start everybody in the same place, right? And then based on how they're doing, I adapt and I adjust.
Nice.
And so that's how I personalize this particular program. But to your point, how do you know what foods, even healthy foods, are good for you? Because they're not always. In week 2 of my group program, I teach people that the right way to eat for your body, because we're all unique. Our gut microbiomes are as unique as our fingertips, right? And one super easy way is to run a lab test with me, which has 190 different foods that will show how sensitive your body is to these foods. And that doesn't mean you can't ever have them, but depending on the degree of sensitivity, we remove them for a while we let the body heal, and then we reintroduce. And now you're really aware of what this particular food is doing, because often people don't know, right? We eat so many foods in a given day and we don't get symptoms for 3 days. We don't even remember what we ate 3 days ago, right? But now we know this particular food has been causing me problems. I'm going to test it again. This isn't an allergic reaction either. Remember, it's just a sensitivity. I'm going to test it again and be really aware of the symptoms. And then everything becomes a choice. Does it give you brain fog? Does it give you a stomach ache? Does it give you indigestion? What does this food do to you? And then you get to choose when you eat it. If it gives you brain fog and you've got a big presentation coming up, well, you're not going to eat it, and you're going to be okay not eating it because you know what it triggers in you and you know what you need to get done. But if it's going to give you brain fog and it's the weekend and everyone else is eating it and you just want to be part of it, then you can make that choice. I don't care if I have brain fog tomorrow.
Okay,
right? And so it really empowers people in understanding the foods that they are sensitive to, how they make them feel, so they can make choices. They can still eat them. They might have been eating them daily before because they were completely unaware. Now they might have them weekly. It all becomes a choice.
All becomes a choice. And so what kind of people do you work with? Because I know for me, I used to give a wellness weight release program, and it was great. One person came to me and said, all I like are olives. That's the only vegetable that I'll eat are olives. And I thought, dang it. So who do you work with?
So my niche markets are really people struggling with gut health. And my goodness, there's so many people out there today that unfortunately are struggling with gut health and food digestion. And we eat food 3 times a day, and food is life sustaining. Obviously, it's energy giving if our digestive system is working properly. But when it isn't, it's painful. And so I work with people that are trying to figure out, why do I have pain, discomfort, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, indigestion around food? And all of those are symptoms that your body's asking you to do something differently, and you're just not sure what, right? And antacids are the absolute worst thing you can do for indigestion. They make it worse, not better. So if you're using antacids, book a call and I can explain exactly why. Because I don't have time to go into it here, but I can explain exactly why. And so that's one group of people that I work with. And then I also work with menopausal women, because when we go through menopause, our hormones are changing and they very often get out of balance. And we can do something about that. And yet everywhere I turn, I hear women talking about their hot sweats and their night flashes and their insomnia and their brain fog and all of these symptoms, accepting it as normal, accepting this as being the fact of being a woman I have to suffer through. That's bogus. That's society normalizing it. Just like we normalize chronic stress and say everybody else is chronically stressed, so it must be okay. It's not okay, right? That stress is one of our major root causes that's causing imbalances in our body and in our hormones. But the body is so incredibly well designed. The body doesn't make mistakes. It's us and the lifestyle we lead and we put into our body that is causing these imbalances and causing us to get depleted. And that then triggers these symptoms. And we need to stop accepting them and start listening to them and then seeking support of people that can help us rebalance. Because menopause can last 8 to 10 years, and they should be the best years of your life. And you shouldn't be suffering through without sleep and all of these, nagging symptoms. And it's the same for younger women with PMS. PMS is not normal. PMS is a sign of hormones being out of balance, and we can rebalance hormones. So that's the other group of people that I work with. And guess what? Your toxic load is a massive trigger of hormonal imbalances and gut health issues. So I start everyone with a quiz to discover their toxic load. And I've given you the links. You can drop that in the show notes. It's free and people can take the quiz. And it's a bit of an aha for people because they're like, well, yeah, I do have that symptom and that one and that one. And I've just been ignoring them and writing it off to aging and seasonal allergies and my genes and not doing anything about it. But here's the thing. Our body talks to us initially, just gently, in the form of a feather's touch. And if we don't listen, it'll come along and thump us with a brick. And if we still don't listen, it whacks us with a wrecking ball, trying to get our attention to do something different. And all of us know someone who's been whacked with a wrecking ball, that is in bed for some reason because their body has stopped working in the way that it's supposed to, because it's asking them to do something different. In that case, very often slow down, right? We got to lower the stress load on the body and you're doing too much. And I'm going to just put you in bed for a while.
And that is so totally true. I've seen that over and over and over again.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And so let me ask you out of the blue here, we haven't really talked about it, but what about cognitive abilities, Alzheimer's, dementia? Would your system help in that respect?
Absolutely. Now, I don't cure, I don't diagnose.
There is no cure, no.
I don't even work with labels, right? But Alzheimer's is a chronic illness, and chronic illnesses do not have to be life sentences. When we rebalance the body can do so much in terms of, regaining its health. It's a question of how far down the path we are, of course. That's why I say if we do it when your body's talking to you in the form of a feather, the response is far greater than if it's at the wrecking ball state, right? Alzheimer's is something that is brewing inside us for 20 to 30 years before we ever get a diagnosis. And all chronic illnesses are like that. Nobody just wakes up one morning and doesn't feel well and goes to the doctor and gets told, oh, you have, diabetes or you have heart disease. It didn't happen overnight. It's been brewing inside your body for months, years, but we don't know because we're ignoring the inside of our body and we're not looking after it. So when we
Or we're
start
looking after it in a way that is not really beneficial for this part of it.
yes, exactly. And so when we start understanding all that we can do to be proactive in our health, to clear our toxic load, to clear our pathways, to lower our stress, make lifestyle changes, and work with someone who can guide you through that, you can change all of these health outcomes. And so, with Alzheimer's and dementia, we could run labs and we could see, what is this person's mineral level at? What's their vitamin levels at? In fact, the symptoms of Alzheimer's and dementia are very similar to the symptoms of a vitamin B12 deficiency.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've
Right?
heard.
But do we give our seniors B12 in nursing homes? Do we test for that before we give the diagnosis of Alzheimer's and dementia?
We give them antidepressants.
Exactly. Why? Because unfortunately, we have a sick care system driven by a pharmaceutical industry that prioritizes shareholder profit over human health. They want people on their drugs. They want people in a state of chronic illness because that's how they make money for their shareholders. If you have to take a drug every single day for the rest of your life, you're making them money. There's no money for them if you heal. So they don't want you to heal. And the system is unfortunately corrupted these days. Like, doctors are getting in trouble for not writing enough prescriptions because the clinic isn't earning enough money from the pharmaceutical companies because of all the prescriptions that were written.
It is a vicious cycle. It is a totally vicious cycle. And I would expect that it probably gets almost overwhelming for you as a person who knows it could be different and can really help people out there to enjoy life without spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. How do you help yourself? What do you do for fun? I mean, we got to have some fun in here. That's what
Absolutely.
fun is number one.
Fun is number one, and we do have to look after ourselves. And you're right, it can be overwhelming. And so I just have to remind myself. I heard a great acronym from someone else this morning. I love it. HOPE. I give people hope, and HOPE stands for help one person every day. If I've helped one person every day, then I'm serving humanity. I'm living in alignment with my purpose. And the more I do this, the more I speak out, the more I share this message, the more people hear it and resonate with it, the more it gets shared, and we have that ripple effect, right?
Oh, I love that. I love that.
And then, yes, absolutely, I have to take care of me. And that was another aha I had right when I first started health coaching. I learned that self-care is the most selfless act. And I went, what? Here I was all these years as a mom and wife and corporate employee thinking it was so selfish. And I was told it was selfless. And I made up a mantra around it that really landed with me. And I share it all the time, and it gives people goosebumps. And that is that self-care is the most selfless act because it allows me to show up and give the world the best of me instead of what's left of me.
Ooh, yeah.
And it was amazing how quickly that changed how the interactions were with my daughters in our household. Teenage daughters who love to push my buttons, right? Love to stretch the boundaries and all of that. And I realized after a few months, they're still pushing the buttons. I'm not reacting.
Yes.
I'm responding.
Yes.
Because I'm looking after me and I can give them the best of me instead of flying off the hammer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what do I do to do that? I block it in my calendar. I don't do any appointments before 10:30 a.m. my time, because the morning is my time.
Yeah.
Normally, I ski on a Thursday. This week I skied on Monday instead because I have the power to change my calendar around as needed. I booked my ski dates with my ski girlfriend in October so that they were in my calendar so my clients couldn't take that time away from me, because I know how important time is for me.
Get it on the calendar. Once it's on the calendar, it can be moved around, but it's more likely not to be.
Exactly. And don't just block the time on the calendar. You have to block the time and state the activity you're going to do. Because if you don't have anything assigned to that time, it's so easy to start looking at Facebook. And before long, you've spent an hour doing Facebook. And that is not self-care. You could have done an hour of yoga. You could have done an hour-long workout. You could have gone for a walk. You could have done so many things with that time. So tell yourself what you're going to do, because when you block the time and you know what you're going to do with the time, you're so much more likely to do it. And that's how I look after me. So the ski hill, cross-country skiing, those are my jams in winter. Through COVID, I do online yoga, online gym workouts. In the summer, at the beginning of COVID, I bought a paddleboard. I got on my paddleboard over 50 times this summer, and I posted pictures of the lakes all the time. It was my zen to be out there in the early morning when the water was calm, and think about my day. It's when all the creative ideas came to me.
Well, that's it. That when you are clear, that it's meditation in my mind. It's meditation because you are enjoying life in the moment, enjoying it, and that opens up all of this creativity to show up, to give you ideas. I was doing exactly what you were talking about, helping one person each day. I love that acronym, by the way, for hope. Yeah. And I was talking to somebody this morning and she said, you have no idea when I'm driving and I'm just kind of zenning out driving. And oh my gosh, the guidance I get at that moment in time is crazy.
Yeah. And it's actually because that's how our brain works, right? We have our subconscious, our conscious brain, and our superconscious brain. And our superconscious brain is where all that creativity comes from. But if we're trying to problem solve or be creative in our conscious mind, it's never going to work. We have to shut down that conscious mind to allow the superconscious mind to flow. So that's why it happens in the middle of the night, in the shower, driving, paddleboarding, or whatever, right? It's because we've just let the conscious mind stop working. And then that's when the superconscious turns on. And
that's when everything comes together, mind, body, and spirit. I love it.
Exactly.
So how can people get more in tune with you? How can they reach out to you? And is there anything that you can offer so people can get a taste of you, as well as listening to our podcast here, because she is amazing. But is there anything else that people can do to get a taste?
Absolutely. So I have a few things, as I've told you about my toxic load quiz. People can start there. Once they do the quiz, they're invited to then book a call with me to discuss their toxic load and what those symptoms mean, because it's great to have the information, but if you're not going to do anything with it, what's the point of the information, right? So people can book a call with me that way. My website is Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call. If you'd like to, learn more about my work, I started that in March of 2020. So I'm up to episode 45 as of this weekend. There's lots of taste of me through that, as well as guests that I've brought onto the show. On LinkedIn, I'm simply Melissa Dealey, with the spelling of Dealey, Deally. I'm the only one there with that spelling. And in about October, I started doing 1-minute health hacks on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So you can scroll through my feed and you'll find all of my health hacks there, which are literally 1-minute tips of things you can do to, implement new habits around your health. And my email address is melissa@yourguidedhealthjourney.com if somebody just wanted to reach out by email.
Oh, fantastic. And all of those links will be in the show notes below. So do absolutely check it all out.
The one other thing I did want to mention is that the New Year is right around the corner when this comes out. And I am starting my next health kickstart and detox on January the 4th. You don't start the detox that day. That's the first day of the program where I explain how it all works and set you up for success. So if anybody's interested in that, they can find that program on my website as well, underneath programs, group programs. And it's just a great way to start 2022 off in focusing on your health and doing a program that will teach you lifelong habits.
Fantabulous. This has been absolutely awesome. Absolutely. And thank you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your story and the success, 100% success this lady has. So check her out. Absolutely. Is there any last word that you would like to share before we sign off?
I just want to encourage people to recognize that we all are our own best doctor. We have lived in our bodies our entire lives. And if you slow down enough and you realize your body's talking to you, then you need to listen, you need to take action. And if you go to your doctor and your doctor tells you there's nothing wrong with you, then get a second opinion because you know better. And I have a lot of people, in fact, 2 people this week who came to me telling me that their doctor won't even listen to them and there's nothing wrong with them. And there's nothing worse than not being heard.
That's absolutely right on, right on. And taking the responsibility to know that there's something wrong and taking back your power to step in and say, you know what, I know there's something wrong and I need other help because I know my body. I know my body.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can't tell you the number of times I'd be out mowing the lawn or whatever and being very active and then coming in and a day or so later, my back would start to hurt. And my husband would say, oh, well, it's because you were out mowing the lawn. And you know, that lawnmower just knocks you all over the place. And of course, that's the reason. I said, no, I know my body. That's not the reason. So going in, all right, what else is going on here? What are the other possibilities? And really looking at it. And as soon as I click on that spot of, yep, this is something I'm not doing and I need to change that and I'm doing it now. Ah, miraculous, all better.
Exactly.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And that's the power of, energy healing that you do and our body talking to us. And we don't always know how to do it on our own because hasn't been taught to us. But seeking the help of people who can support you means you don't have to suffer alone. And B, you can actually work through this and get rid of the symptoms.
Everybody needs a coach.
Everybody needs a coach.
They need an accountability partner and they need somebody who really can guide them. Actually, I prefer to call mentors than coaches because they need somebody like you, Melissa, who will guide them step by step by step and make the tweaks that are necessary for the individual. I love it.
And that's why I named my company what I did, Your Guided Health Journey, right? When somebody can trust in the process and allow themselves to be guided, they get to relax. And when we relax, the body can heal. When we're still trying to figure it all out for ourselves, we don't know if we're doing it right and we're not being heard and all of those things, we're still in the stress state. So the body can't start healing yet.
It makes sense, doesn't it? It just makes sense.
It does. And like I said, in the corporate world, I didn't know any of this. I really didn't. But when I found my place in health coaching, it was just like download after download after download, all of this. And I just have such a passion for it. And I just absorbed it. And now I feel like the world needs to know and I get to share.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Awesome Life podcast. Melissa Dealey, you are amazing. And I'm so happy to have you as a colleague, a resource, and a guide. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me because I truly believe everybody should get to live their awesome life. And anybody who isn't can get there with the right support.
Until next time, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.